Today we're glad to be talking with Stephen Glickman, who plays Gustavo Rocque on Big Time Rush. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Yo! What's going on?
Glad to be talking to you.
Well, I'm happy to be talking.
So tell us, how did you get started in the acting industry?
Well, I've been doing live. I started doing live theater when I was in the second grade, and grew up doing a lot of musical theater and like some dramatic theater, but always kind of wanted to get into film and TV. And I actually had this really cool, weird story. Like my grandmother took me when I was like 8 years old to Paramount Studios on a tour to go and see a taping of a TV show that was called Family Ties. It was like my favorite show as a kid. And so I went to the taping of it, and it was on stage 26, and it was like the coolest thing ever, and I was totally blown away. I totally thought that I was going to be on the show. Like, I was like, oh my God, just because I got here means I get to be on the show. Like, I thought it was amazing. It changed my whole life. And from that point on, I was like, I got to get back to, I got to find a way to get into that business and do whatever it takes to try to, get into it. And what's so crazy is we shoot Big Time Rush at Paramount, which is literally on the stage next door to the stage I went to when I was 8 years old with my grandmother.
Wow,
so,
that is amazing.
Yeah, big, kind of crazy thing, but nice that it all worked out.
That is seriously one of the neatest stories I've ever heard, like happening in Hollywood. That's really neat. A dream come true.
Totally, total dream come true.
Absolutely, and then tell us, you not only act, but you also sing. How long have you been singing for?
Same kind of thing. I mean, I started playing the piano and singing when I was about like 2 years old, 3 years old, like really little. Like my grandmother started teaching me, and then my mom, made me go into piano lessons, and I was singing and doing theater and stuff like that. And now I get to I get to sing at like charity organizations, and I do shows pretty frequently with Brad Ellis, who is the musical director on Glee, and he's the piano player that they always have, on the show with the beard.
Right,
and he's great. And so him and me do shows together with like a bunch of other, amazing people, and we get to, so you never know who is going to show up and stuff like that, because sometimes you go and it's like just you and a bunch of friends, and sometimes you show up and it's Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, or it's like Sutton Foster, who I worked with Sutton Foster back in New York on Shrek the musical, and worked on that for about 2 years, and so it's fun to kind of intertwine everything and try to have as much fun as I can with it.
Working on Broadway and then working on Big Time Rush, which one do you kind of like doing better?
You know what? It's like doing television is the funnest job in the entire world. Like, it is the silliest, most incredible job. Like, you show up and you start working at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and there's 100 and something people working on the show, and you know every single one of them, and they all know you, and you all have breakfast together, and then you go off and you get your hair and your makeup done, which is hilarious, and then you rehearse, and then you shoot all day, sometimes from 6 in the morning until 6 at night, and sometimes you shoot until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock the next morning. Like, it is, it's amazing. And you're hanging out with, like, the funnest people and greatest people, and it's such a good time. It's a real, it's a real blessing and such a fun time. But when it comes to theater, like music, singing is like, that's in my heart and my soul. Like, that's where I'm from. Like, if I was from, like, the place I want to live is Hollywood, but the place I'm from is Broadway. Like, that's my home. Like, I love that stuff. I went to school for it back in New York. I went to AMDA, the American Musical Dramatic Academy in New York and graduated from there. And that's like, I love that stuff.
Wow.
You know?
That's great. And then tell us on Big Time Rush, do you relate to your character Gustavo at all?
Yeah, I mean, me and Gustavo are basically the same person, except for a few small things. I am not a billionaire. So there's that. I don't live in a mansion. I do live in the Hollywood Hills, in a very lovely place. But I don't live in his house, which is enormous. But weirdly enough, the house that we used on Big Time Rush is my mansion. Is a friend of mine's mansion in real life, which is the guy who produced like a whole bunch of incredible artists, like Biggie, and he did Neo and a couple other guys, like this really big producer in Hollywood. So you know, there's a couple differences. But clothing wise, the weird part is clothing wise, like we're very, very similar. I'm a huge fan of hip hop clothing. When I came to Big Time Rush originally, like 2 years ago, Gustavo was kind of pictured as this guy who wore like suits and ties, and I was like, there ain't no way I'm wearing suits and ties every day. Like this dude wears hoodies, and he's like all about, you know, the gear. Like he's got to have like the coolest, newest fashions, like, you know, whether it's like going back old school, you know, hip hop clothing, or it's like the new school stuff. And I personally, in my own life, have a great relationship with a whole bunch of different clothing companies, and so they, you know, they keep me in my real life, my personal life, they keep me all, you know, dressed as fresh as possible. And so that really helps, you know, to kind of influence, you know, what the character gets to wear and all that stuff, which is really cool. You know, I really enjoy trying to make Gustavo as hip hop as possible, even though he is just like, you know, I think he's about 40 years old, and I'm 32. So I play him a little older than me.
Right, Gustavo definitely makes the show, though. You know, definitely.
Well, thanks. I love playing him, and being able to play him off those boys. Those guys are the coolest, nicest dudes. I've worked with a lot of people in this business, and those guys are like four of the coolest, most talented, like understanding, funny, just crazy people to like work with. They're blast. They're great guys. And it makes you know, playing Gustavo. Also, I get to work with Tanya Chisholm, who plays Kelly, my assistant on the show, and she's like the best comedy partner anyone could ask for. Working with, you know, it's like, you know, working with her is like we're like a match made in heaven. So I love working with that girl. That girl's so funny. Yeah,
absolutely. The whole cast is great, and I have to say you have a great fan base for the whole show. There are a lot of Big Time Rush fans out there.
Yeah, all over the world, man. I mean, we air our show in like 72 different countries or something like that. I mean, it's crazy. I've gotten to hear Big Time our show, you know, like Big Time Rush done in German and in Swedish and all these different languages, and it's, you know, it's pretty incredible, man. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And do you have a favorite episode you filmed?
Ooh, you know, I did up till this week. I had two episodes that have been my favorite. Of course, Big Time Halloween was one of the most. You know what? All right, I got three. All right, Big Time. It's hard to pick.
It is.
I love doing it. I'd say, okay, here's what I got. I'd say Big Time Halloween was one of the coolest episodes of anything I've ever gotten to do, because I remember being a kid or being a teenager and knowing that a Halloween episode was going to air and planning my Halloween around it. so that I could watch the Halloween episode of The Simpsons, or the Halloween episode of Growing Pains, or the Halloween episode of Family Matters or Full House or whatever, because I knew that's the one you want to watch. That's the one where or The Office, where everybody dresses up in costume. And to do one of those episodes is such an honor. It's such a blast. So that was cool. And then our Christmas episode, getting to work with Snoop Dogg, was like one of the coolest experiences ever. That was amazing. And of course, getting to hang with Miranda, she's a sweet, she's a sweetheart, and hanging with her, and I got to hang with Fabio, which is he's an old buddy of mine, and I brought him to the show originally to kind of have him around so I could hang out with him on the show. And he's gotten to do a couple episodes, which is really cool. But the episode that's my favorite of all is, I think, there's an episode we did called Big Time Terror. Big Time Terror was the episode where I get to move in with the boys, and I got to hang out in my pajamas the whole time, and I got to hang out and have stupid conversations with all the guys, and I got to slam James's face into oatmeal. I mean, I had a blast. Yeah, there's some pretty cool ones coming down the line. The one that we just shot this week, I can't really say too much about it because I don't want to ruin it. And even just telling you the name of it is kind of ruining the surprise of what everyone will end up seeing. However, I will say this. I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, give us a hint. Uh-huh.
All right, here's the hint. When I was a kid, there was a TV show called Greatest American Hero. Now, I don't know how old you are, but this is not, I'm 32, so we're talking like when I was like 6 years old. There's a show called Greatest American Hero. It's my favorite TV show growing up, like favorite show.
Uh-huh.
And we got to reenact stuff like that show on Big Time Rush, which is the most incredible thing I've ever gotten to do in my entire life.
Well, I am definitely looking forward to that episode. That sounds great.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.